Matthew's truthful words. We finally got all that cleaned up, but I want to put some last little editings because I went through them and I also stuck the group of verses together that made the story. And that way I can take those pieces and combine them with the other gospels. And what has happened here, it's been about 2 months before I've been moving and got new computer equipment. So if this video doesn't come out with the right colors or stuff like that, sorry about that. That'll be an adjustment that I'll be making. And then I guess I should be able to just get on with the story here. And let's go back to desktop and start doing what needs to be done here. Here, I don't need these words here, nor here, because we already have that right here. We've got that written right here. So we don't need to know that the birth of Jesus. We already have that. Here, I found other verses that needed that could be tied together as one. So what you'll see is me do on the verses like this when I get rid of this here chapter number or verse chapter where we found it, I'll be putting the example like that, and then that way we still understand when you go back to research the text, where this other text come from. Now here it says, and he received his wife. Well, again, that is up here. So we don't need that text, just repeatable. Now here is something that what I did was I took this verse here and I stuck it up here. And I added the word our to make it sound like a first-person writer would. And it has to be over all our lands because this governor is over all the lands. And it's good to know that when you're reading the text that there's different areas at what time during Jesus's birth and then when he was walking on the land. Here I put the word from. The word and, I guess, doesn't need to be here. This one's debatable. You can either leave it or not leave it. And you can see how I've got these verses spaced out. So if you are looking for how I grouped them, there'll be a PDF at some time. I still got to get my website information going here and update it and get my PDFs to work so I can make PDFs. Okay. Now here, the area of Judah going to him. Now this is at the time of John when Jesus is actually, we know that he's going to start his year of, what happened here? Oh, I got new maps. I should have it. There was, should be under this. No. How come I don't have that? Oh, I'm in the wrong hard drive. Let's get to the right hard drive.
What happened here?
I'm sorry about this. I'm lost. I thought I had this all set up. Okay, I found the right maps. Sorry about that. And I'm trying to get these videos because they're now 1440p's. I need them to That's why I bought all the new equipment to go 1440. Sometime I am going to end up streaming. So here are the lands. And remember, I told you before, this one here was called Galilee, and I've changed it to Israel because an Israeli would know that. I did change this one to Jordan. It started with I of some kind, but this is a different governor's region. This is a different governor's region, and this is a different governor's region. And this was Judea, and I've changed it to Judah because these would represent how the Hebrews would know them, or the Israelis would know their history and how the land was divided, where this exact line right here going across would have been, and by the territories here. So what I needed to do when John was here to say that they're coming from all three of these areas. Okay. So I changed it to Judah. I needed to add Israel here. And when it says, and them on the east of the Jordan River, well, I can do that by just putting up Jordan, and then you understand what's going on there. Or that they were all coming to him. They just weren't coming from Judah and the Jordan area. Now, this verse here, I've moved up to here because after they confessed their sins, they were baptized by him in the Jordan River. Don't need this word here. This is not really needed. Here, he will thoroughly clear his threshing floor. Well, if I put down here, if I take the words from here and put it up here, he will thoroughly reject the chaff from his threshing floor. So I'm not sure if the threshing floor is exactly like somewhere inside a building and the wheat's already gathered, but they're still got the shell on them, or the shaft, the covering of it, the seed. But the object here is that if he's rejected the shaft from his threshing floor, now this is usually on the top of a mount where it's really windy, is at the top. It's not in the valley or anything like that, where they would be able to take the stuff and throw it up in the air, the wheat and everything up, and the wind would blow away the shaft. Now, they also needed to sit there and move it around to break up the shaft. So you have to consider that. But the object here is, by me putting it up there, really doesn't change Jesus getting rid of the evil and keeping his, and then gathering his wheat to his barn. In other words, it would be to enter heaven. So here it's not scriptures. Scriptures could have text of the kings talking, or what happened to the king. What he is telling John, he is telling John that this baptism is to fulfill his commands. Now, this command, and people are kind of wondering what baptism is. Well, baptism, when you stop and think about why there is a baptism of Jesus. Now, there could be you could think, well, when he was a small child, that there was this, he didn't honor his mother and father, got mad at him one day. But that isn't really what's going on here. There is a verse that talks about our Creator anointing Jesus, okay? And that's what's going on here on the baptism. Because as the text moves along, you'll see that he does tell the people that he can now forgive sins. This anointment is to fulfill a command. It might even been a statute, but a command kind of fills in all the words laws, commandments, statutes. And what it was that when Moses started letting the priest into the courtyard to do the work, or to minister the offerings, that they first had to be anointed with oil that came from off the table that was by the lamps, that the oil there to fill up the lamps with, that oil was used to anoint them. Since all the priests were corrupt and our Creator has given away or going to condemn them again, he is he is going to self-anoint him as his priest to forgive sin for everyone. So if you think that a priest has forgiven you of your sin, or you can say 5 Hail Marys and 5 Our Fathers to be forgiven, no, you can't do that. You have to obey Jesus. You have to end up then being forgiven by him to enter heaven. If you don't obey him, you aren't going to heaven under the true law of our Creator. And this is what I'm saying is what had to be fulfilled with this command. Now, YHVH's voice came from heaven, and I changed these words here. Now, those that are new here, I'm using only 2 of the 4 letters that are in Strong's Concordance for our Creator's name. And this would be simpler and easier to say because a lot of people will say Jehovah. Well, there is no O in the Hebrew language. So when you see anywhere in the Bible the letter O, that you can just get rid of it or don't even bother saying that, for the simple fact that that's just added text by the wrong people. Now, let's see here. I needed to change the word written to prophesied. When I went through here, these texts sounded like they were coming from YHVH. Okay? So that's why I put this was prophesied, this was prophesied, this was prophesied. But here, under this one here, written, I cannot see this one as coming from our Creator. Even though I capitalized all the letters, I just can't be convinced myself that this was a prophecy. Removing the words had been to were casting, not a big difference. You have to remember when they're casting nets, they were casting for chum so they could cut up those small fish that they're getting along the shoreline by casting these nets and then scooping them up. So they aren't very far offshore when they're doing this. This has to be in probably 2 to 3 foot water. Don't need the word other. This is a note for me for later. I needed, I'm trying to think of something here. I don't know if he sat or he stood up, or as he was standing, he walked up a hill and stood, then he began teaching. See, because if he sat down, it depends on how far up he went up the hillside to talk. So then it would have to change this up to a hillside. So it's just a reminder for me still to question the text here. Maybe needs a better, clear understanding. They're his laws, not the law. Even if they were prosecuted you, because if it was, say, for, that's past tense. Jesus is talking about every event, and that would be in the future event of what's going on. Sorry, I just realized I shouldn't be scrolling unless I have to. Here is the word holy. I've changed it to sanctified, and this is 9:6. So let's go in here, and it looks a whole lot better on the screen when it's like this. You can actually see it. So 9, so 5, and then 6. Yep, wrong one. It needs to be 6. Right. Okay, hollowed. Now, if you notice over here on this side here, that they use sanctified 16 times. And so I could use any of these to be better than this, okay? So to get rid of those two words, or to be more correct, I'm using the word sanctified. I know when I did it and I talked about His holiness because I didn't like any of these. Now I've decided that I think this is a good enough word here to be used in the text here itself, and say, okay, I can live with that text there. Seems my camera is bent here. Most watch. That's a little bit better. Puts it more straight into the view here. You sow and you harvest, not just to reap, but you harvest, because they're looking, when they're growing large crops, they need some for the winter time. So this is a harvest. I put the word hillside here on this one because it was a large crowd. So, because when you see the land of Israel, and there's plenty of maps on any of the search engines that you can find, these hills in from the bottom of the hill up, he wouldn't be on most of them. It's pretty hilly. So these hills are maybe 200 feet to maybe 400 feet in some of areas. So I have to make it this hillside. And like I said, that's kind of why I was deciding what to do on the last one. Now here is the centurion, that I'm changing this word to captain for the simple fact that the centurion, I'm making it easy enough for a 12-year-old to read, and these words, captain, they would understand he's still over people. Here I'm taking the text from here and moving it up to here, and I don't need these words here. And they got to the region for Jordan. And I have His authority, and I have His authority, so you'll see that in the next group. Jesus answered the attendants are not to mourn until the king is actually passed on. Now these, when I'm looking at moving the stories in groups and area, I wanted to point out in a lot of these little stories here, even though it's a little small, it's telling us or giving us extra little hint. It doesn't tell us where, but it does tell us it was reported everywhere in the land. Like, everybody heard about this story. So he's raising a young girl to from death. So now here is the same thing. Spread their news about him. It's kind of like, it depends on how early this was happening, because here they say they knew he was the son of David, but here they went and spread the news about him. Here we have, has never been seen in our land. Like this would have been one of the first healings he did. Okay, just to let you know that all of a sudden this is something new to him. And then now our priest began to say, because when those that were hearing about, anyways, I got to get into moving here. Can't, trying to make this under 40, 45 minutes just because it's 1440p. And, at this time, you upload to Yahoo, or load up to YouTube, and then you try to download it, which I do to try to archive it in case they kick me off. I have a copy of everything. The file size sometimes says too large to download, so you have to watch how much video you do put up at a time. Obey is the word, not follow, but obey. This text is coming out, just doesn't mean anything. Had to add my servants for my kingdom have suffered. All the days of John your Baptist, all days to John your Baptist, my servants for my kingdom in heaven have suffered. So here, violence isn't needed. There was other prophets that were persecuted, killed, and things like that. So they suffered. If it was violent, that just depends on how you see. You include all of them. Buy a wheat field because he didn't walk through a wheat field. I put the words elders here because scribes are Levites. Okay, so, or they're called Levites. Well, the thing here is there are more elders in the cities as is going through. And when I'm looking at understanding this story here, it's something that should be, he's talking about, example, when they said that he is speaking with authority, this is how he's doing it. He first answers the question, whether he can work sinful on a holiday. Then what he does is he points out a story that they should know about what David did when he was hungry, and this was the high priest at the time of David's time. He went and took the wheat that was sitting on that table I was telling you with the pitcher for the oil, and he gave them the wheat so they could eat that. And it's not supposed to be eaten by anyone, but it's kind of like Jesus is saying that there was an emergency, so that's what they did, and that they accepted it. Just as our Creator said, you're supposed to have compassion and mercy when you're judging people. And so then he comes down here, the commandments, and then talking about the priest, how they circumcise on holy days. He's given examples of how he teaches here. It's really good that when they ask him one question, he goes from one to another. And there, see, I desire compassion. So here, the withered hand didn't make sense. The word crippled did. A broken reed he will not break. Now it says a battered reed. Sorry, city slickers, but I've lived on a lake for months at a time, even as a kid, and these reeds, the wind can whip them around big time, and they just take it, and they don't break. But if it was broken reed, he will not break it, because a battered reed, we're talking not as correctly as if it was broken. He will not finish breaking it off. I'm using the word they and putting it up here as to everyone in kingdom will have trust in me. This is a prophecy about Jesus, and everyone in every kingdom will have trust in me. So here, the word needs to be words, not breath. I've got a video below that explains what is Holy Spirit. You should kind of make sure you know that and why that's true. Here, when I realized what a blasphemy is, I had to put the word curses in here because it's about his being. A man blasphemy against, because it's not giving what a blasphemy is. It's not a definition for blasphemy. For any sin can be given, but when man blasphemies, that's, I'd rather go to the story of when Moses was in the Sinai and say that there was an Egyptian husband married to an Israeli woman, and his son was arguing with other Israeli sons, and he cursed our Creator's being, or cursed our Creator, and then they took it to Moses. Moses took to our Creator, what do we do? And he had them stone them. They will not be forgiven. They were stoned, okay? So this is a more correct understanding of this verse. Blasphemy is not the truest word here, because I'm relating it to a past story and a past ruling of the law by our Creator. But whoever speaks against his holy breath or his holy words, I'm still not sure if I'm changing this or not, then you would know that then, yes, this is pretty much what blasphemy is. Whoever speaks against the holy breath. See, I would have to add the words blasphemy in through here, but whoever speaks against his holy breath will not be forgiven either. Well, I know there's going to be other verses from other Gospels that talk about blasphemy. So now this was really odd to read this and then not have the word not here. So I didn't go back to check the text, but I needed to add it there. It just makes more sense. The word and is where you, some and many fewer, that just doesn't matter. That's just words that don't really need to be added. Well, that would have been them at that time, but to speak for our time and his time and the time before, the word many would have been more correct and truthful. Moving the word they, that doesn't seem to be much. Needed to add, this was another verse that was funny if you read it. They are not to be in my kingdom, for every one of them committed evilness. Example, if we're talking about people that don't know the whole truths of our Creator's commandments, statutes, and laws, they wouldn't know what if it was lawlessness, but if it's evilness, yes, to be against our Creator is evilness. So that is why I'm using the word evilness instead of lawlessness. This is just corrected just to make it read better. For this text to hook from this here verse goes right to this verse. If you left this in, it does that confusing thing again. But we already know that, what was it right about here? They will be gathered and burned by fire. So the thing here is that we know that judgment, after Judgment Day, there's going to be what is known as hell, and this is what's supposed to be going on in hell. Twice referred to it as fire. Another helpful hint in Nazareth, so we know these places. A boat to be alone, we know that has to be by the river, but notice that there's only these two verses that actually end up being here in because it wouldn't have been something here that after John was reported that he was dead to Jesus, this is out of order. It's just not there. This needs to be when he's by Lake Galilee. Maybe even this text here needs to be up by Galilee, but we'll see as we combine the text together. You say not is said. Into pieces, broke them into pieces. So here diviners and fortune tellers need to be added because they're diviners and fortune tellers here, so I'm keeping true to the story. This word here is a city. I'm pretty sure that that's going to get changed because We've got other text with other cities. And I just added that they bowed their knee and heads. Like when you approach a king, you would see them kneel on one knee and then bow their head and then speak to him. So that's what they were doing at this time. So you know that this started with the kings of Israel. So here again, in this house, this might not be this. I just future reference for myself. Might need change, might not need. Now here is something that's really interesting. It says poll tax. Now I want you to look at this. It said poll tax, but it says visitor's tax. Now what is so unique about a visitor's tax? Well, when you look at those words, here's what I find interesting, is that they would have hired an Israeli or someone that knows the people and the difference between the races so they could collect this visitor's tax. When they see somebody coming and they see it's a merchant, they would know and easily recognize the merchant, or a foreigner wouldn't be the same color of skin as they are. So it would have been easier for them to know that I know that person, I know this person, these people, I know that's, and that's is to go up and collect taxes from a visitor's tax. But that brings to the point that that person is supposed to recognize Israelis. How come he didn't recognize Jesus as an Israeli? And that's unique. So if there's any verse in the text that says that Jesus, the description of Jesus, this points it out. This really does give to the point that an Israeli didn't recognize another Israeli. So the only thing I can think of is, did Jesus have blonde hair? For the simple fact that the Hebrews, as far as I know, out of the old Hebrew text, there isn't one blonde person in the Hebrew side. So if he had blonde hair, maybe he had platinum hair. But the object is he was different in some way that he wasn't recognizable. I'm now thinking Jesus had blonde hair. And just to let you know that what this verse is actually pointing out, because they came up to Peter and asked him, does your teacher want to pay the one coin visitor tax? Okay. I changed the word boy from child because a child could be male or female. So we definitely are going to include women at every chance we can. By you, I guess that's pretty simple to see there. This was pretty, adding the word this and trying to put it so when you stop the video that you can see it without all that stuff in the middle of the videos. I just realized I should have had this text a little bit larger. So, yeah, I don't want to make the video over here. This is like fourth try. It's like just to let you know how bad it was trying to get things all set up. Prophesied from written again and changing you to Jerusalem because they knows he was going right into Jerusalem. You would not put small branches down to trip up a cult, so they have to be leaves where they could throw them up and have some, like appreciating Jesus before he was walking in there. This would have been the way they were celebrating him. And it says before him. I know there's other text that says before and after him, but I'm thinking before is the way you would want it because they're there when they already come by, when he comes by. So anyways, here's one that I need to explain. Change the word from Nazareth because a lot of people in Jerusalem, he entered Jerusalem, and Nazareth, they said it, well, it's such a small village, nobody would have known that. But if you said the word Zebulun, they would have understand that area and where he is from. But if you say David, our king, then from David, our king, then we know that is the prophecy, our creator, and what they've been waiting for, is Jesus to make his appearance in Jerusalem. So this is very important to have the word David here and not either Nazareth or Zebulun. Now, Bethany and Bethpage, they're two cities that are like a mile, maybe 2 miles away from Jerusalem. So when he goes there to sleep, I'm not sure which one the story is going to go with. So I just made a note for myself. So when I start combining them, where was he at? Did he stay with Lazarus, or did he stay with that other priest? I can't think of his name right now. Change them to whoever to his feast. Now, we were given his commands. Now, we are given his commands. We were given. And here comes the verse that what I am here fulfilling Jesus's prophecy, and this is his prophecy. Then my truths of my kingdom will be preached to the whole world as a witnessing to everyone after the end will come. So this is the truth of this sentence. Then it's 4. But you're seeing prophecy happening in your day, those that are actually paying attention to the videos I'm putting up. Blessed are my servants. Yes, that's better. Sooner or later needed to be added. I'm not sure how many more need to be corrected here. Okay, as he was reclining, I stuck that into the verse itself. Instead of at the end, I put it here, just moving the words around. And, yes, that's very important. Passover and celebration. The celebration took place from the first day of the year to the next holy day. There was 8 days that they were supposed to celebrate. But the Passover happens on the first day. Just to be more accurate and clear here, prophesied is, I think you can see that's just me not forgetting to fix that. I added the word next here for the simple fact that it did, I think it read better this way for the understanding of the verse. He left the courtyard. We're talking about Peter, so we need to make sure that we know where he left from. Oops. And I'm okay. Added the word but. Okay, they wet a cloth with water. They didn't fill it. You can't fill a cloth, but you ran to wet a cloth with water. So he's got a wet, dripping cloth. And then to a branch and gave him a drink. Now when it comes down to, then his house was split in two. This is hard to say that this part is true. I know I'm leaving it here, but I'm going to mention that I guess I should have did this like this to warn. His house was made out of granite blocks. These are like 18 inches wide, 18 inches tall, and then they're different dimensions this way. Either 18 inches, and then, or is it 36, and then I think there are 3 cubics, and there's only 1 4 cubic stone that's above the doors. And you can actually, by doing, if you want to have some fun and you want to figure out how many blocks and what they look like, yes, you can figure the answer out only if you understand the 20 cubics by 60 cubics is the inside dimension. You try working it as the outside dimension and you can't come up with any answer. But as soon as you realize that they're talking about the inside dimension, that's the answer to figure out the block size. Well, it says from top to bottom, then the earth shook. So if the earth shook, the roof fell in. Okay, this, like you've seen some earthquakes happen that the land doesn't split or doesn't fall off the into the water or anything like that. If it just shook, it would have been the timbers that were there for like maybe 250 years that hadn't been repaired. We have an example at Jehu's time, Jehu a king, that he had the rafters replaced in the house, and then his house at that time. So this is what I'm saying, not the blocks fell. It says because the house split in two. Now that just means it could have been a crack, okay? So this verse is probably going to get more editing later, but I'm just trying to point out that the word roof needs to be truly put here. And then this can be explained as they were cracked. And the house split in two, a crack went through all of them. I don't know, but they didn't crumble or fall. That's some easy adjusting there. That's easy adjustment. And there's the end. And I will get on to the next video, hopefully sooner than later, and start ramping up things here